Could we see a Kristaps Porzingis or John Collins swap at the trade deadline? Let's get into this. John Collins was drafted by the Atlanta Hawks in the 2017 NBA draft, where he's picked 19th overall. Collins was seen as a really big draft success for the Hawks. They picked him pretty late, 19th overall as I said, and he's been a really good player. He's averaged 21 points per game last season, and he's improved his game every single year ever since he got into the NBA, besides this year where his production dipped slightly to 17 points per game. Collins is a really athletic player who also has a pretty nice jump shot from the mid-range and starting to get a jump shot from three. And him and Trae Young had a really nice pick and roll game going for a few years. Ever since the end of last season, John Collins has found his name in some trade rumors, mostly due to the fact that his contract is coming up and he's expecting a pretty big payday. It's been reported that John Collins is going to want a max contract, or just about near max, around $20 million per year, and the Atlanta Hawks definitely don't want to give him that. It really hasn't been John Collins' play. His play has been really good. It's mostly just because of the contract is the reason why he's found his name in trade rumors. There have been some teams that have been interested in John Collins because he's a young player. He's a nice young player who's a power forward, and that's a premium now. I think John Collins is a really good young player, and I think he has a long time to play in this league and could potentially make an all-star game. There have been some reports out there that maybe John Collins could be going to the Dallas Mavericks in exchange for Porzingis, who's also found his name in trade rumors, and that could potentially be a really good swap for both teams. Both players, Collins and Porzingis, are really good players, but they both have a little bit of a gripe to them. For John Collins, as I said, is his contract. The Hawks don't want to pay him that much money, and for Porzingis, it would just be his injury history. There's nothing really wrong with either of these players. They're both extremely good players that are also really young, and I think a swap for these two guys would make a lot of sense. I think Porzingis would fit in perfectly next to Trae Young and all the other shooters they have on that team. Porzingis is a better shooter than John Collins, obviously, so I think the pick and pop game with him and Trae Young would be really, really lethal. And Porzingis could also create a shot a little bit better than John Collins can, so I think that would take some pressure off Trae Young as well. Porzingis is still under a max contract, obviously, that he just recently signed, and his injury history is still there and is still a concern, so the Hawks would have to be worried about that. The Hawks would also have to throw in some other players just to make the money work, because a one-for-one deal wouldn't work out with those two. And I think for John Collins, I think he would look really nice next to Luka Doncic in the pick and roll as well, throwing lobs to John Collins. I think it would be pretty solid for them as well. Out of the two guys, I think the better fit would be Porzingis on the Hawks though, because I really do think him and Trae Young could be lethal, and they have shooters all over the place. On the Mavericks, a big issue is they don't have that many shooters, but on the Hawks, they have shooters all over the place. Now, maybe they would have to trade some of these guys if they got Porzingis so they wouldn't have them, but currently they have guys like Gallinari and Bogdanovic who are great shooters. And also they have Kevin Huerter, of course, next to Trae Young, who's a really good three-point shooter as well. And they have a ton of wing guys, nice wing guys who are really young as well. And I think Porzingis would complement those guys perfectly. I really do like Porzingis on the Hawks if this were to happen. If the trade were to happen, I could see the Hawks having to throw in a guy like Gallinari or someone who's getting paid a little more money just to make the money work. But if it was Porzingis for John Collins and Gallinari and maybe a second-round pick or late first, I could see that working out for both sides. And besides the lethal pick and roll with him and Trae Young and pick and pop, I think Porzingis can open up his game and start isolating by himself more on Atlanta rather than on the Mavericks. I just really do like the fit with Porzingis with Trae Young on the Hawks. But let me know what you guys think. Do you think this trade could actually happen? Do you think this trade even makes sense if it does happen? And who do you think would win the trade if it did happen? But anyways, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and if you did enjoy, please leave a like and subscribe. It really helps me out a lot. And until next time, peace out, guys.